What is up, everybody? Jaco here today, and today I'm making a video that I haven't made in 3 years, over 3 years. And it was a video about my life. There was three different parts, and when I ended part three, that's where my life was at that moment. But a lot of things have happened since, and if you care about my life and my story, this is something you definitely need to check out as I make this video. It's completely raw, it's completely unedited. So I'm going to talk about a lot of different things. So last we went off on the video of part three. I had a Brazilian girlfriend, and that ended up not working out. I can't exactly remember what went wrong. I know there's other videos talking about this on my YouTube channel, which I explained why we just didn't work out. Primarily, there was a huge age difference, as I believe I met her at 19 and I was 26. So, not only that, I remember that I lived in Port St. Lucie. Well, we both lived in West Palm, Palm Beach area, and then I moved to Port St. Lucie with her. And then after a few weeks of moving to Port St. Lucie, Florida, we ended up breaking up. She moved out. And then we talked about possibly getting back together as long as we both didn't sleep with other people. And evidently, I did sleep with someone, and I kind of knew that there was no return after that. I met this woman on a dating app. I forgot which one it was at that time, probably Bumble, and her name was Karina. And she had three daughters, and I believe from two different baby daddies. And I went out with her. I really liked her, but she told me like, "Hey, I just want to be friends." And I got to the point where I was like really pursuing her, and I really wanted to date her. So we ended up dating, and after a few weeks of dating, I wake up one day and there's a pregnancy test on my bedside, and she's pregnant, which I never seen her take the test. So this woman was an amazing woman, seemed to be a great mother. Everything just was on cloud nine. It was amazing. And then she started to change. She started to not care about me, not take care of my house, not do all the little things that she used to do. And then she started asking for things, money, vehicles, and all this other stuff. Later on, I ended up helping her get a car and helped her assist with the car. And later on, she's like, "I don't want the car anymore. Car's too many problems. It's yours now." And so I was stuck with it until I sold it, because I bought her the car and she was paying me monthly, and she just stopped paying me monthly and gave me back the car with the problems that it had. So, and then she like called me a thief and all that stuff. But evidently, to wrap that story up, I really did like her. Her one daughter, who was much younger, I think she was like 4. She was really, really sweet. She had two other daughters that were like 13 and 15, or 12 and 15. Excuse me. They absolutely hated my guts. So later on, when I wasn't giving in to her demand, she later on told me that she had a miscarriage. When I asked about the report from the doctor, she said I threw it out, and evidently after that, I ended up blocking her. And this is a person that was the closest to hating I ever had in my life. It was just an awful human being. And it's funny because I did see her on a dating app like a few months ago, and I don't know if her account's still there or she's actively on it, but it's like the same photos and everything. And forever guy that wants to go near that, stay away. It was very, very scary individual. Trying to be a father. Okay. So my whole life was about dating apps, and then I'm back on the dating app and I meet somebody new, and this is like coming right off of that situation. So I was very guarded and I was hurt from that previous situation. So I met this woman, and we met on Hinge. We met at a restaurant. Actually, she had 2 kids, which I didn't know were from 2 different fathers at first. And you know, her kids were amazing, she was amazing, and we fell fast. And this is the mother of my daughter now. And so yeah, we within the first month she got pregnant. We had our daughter December 2nd, 2021. My daughter is now 2 years and a month and a half, and we'll talk about that situation. There's a lot of things in between. So that went pretty decent. I had the house in Port St. Lucie, and they were coming there, and then I ended up buying another house when the mom was still in Fort Lauderdale with her house. Her kids ended up moving with me in the summer to my house, and the mom was going back and forth from Fort Lauderdale to Port St. Lucie, and sometimes staying over, sometimes not, and I was taking care of her kids in the summer. And then we were there for about a year. We then decided to move to Texas together, Houston, Texas, and that was the end all be all of our relationship. I feel going to Texas took her away from her family, and she completely changed as a person in Texas, in my personal opinion. Now, I do have my flaws, I do have my problems. I'm not a perfect person in any way. I'm not going to sit here and dig at everything she did wrong and everything I did wrong. I want to admit that I, as a first year parent, needed to do a lot more that I didn't. I wasn't as helpful as I should have been, but I was providing and I was helping with her children as much as possible. I just felt some type of male postpartum depression with me and my daughter. I felt some type of disconnect the first year of her life, but now I'm the best father, and I'm very proud of who I became as a father, because I do my absolute best to be the best father to my little girl. So in Texas, after about come January, which was like 6 months into Texas, we decided to split. We were still all living together as a family, but I was the one on dating apps and talking to women, and where my ex-partner was just being a mom. She had no intentions of being with anybody, even though she had the right to. And I told her that, like, hey, if you want to go out and meet somebody, I'm here, I'll take care of the baby, because that's what's fair. If I'm attempting that, then you should be able to attempt that as well. I'm not the type of person that's like, hey, I'm gonna do what I want, you do what, and you can't do what you want. I'm not that selfish. But so I put my house up for sale in Texas. It's taking a long time to sell, and God, there's so much to talk about. A lot of stuff I did make YouTube videos about, so it's like there's different videos, but this is more like, oh, my back. I gotta talk about my back and feet too. But put this up real quick. So after Texas, I finally got a sale on my house, and I actually moved to Texas in the weirdest way, because my house was for sale. Someone was buying it, and they claimed that they didn't need a contingency to buy my house, and they did, and they lied, and it was postponed. And then I had to postpone the house in Texas. It was a whole ordeal. But evidently, my ex-partner was just like my mustache hair is going to my nose, so that's why I'm like, looks like I'm picking my nose, but I'm really not. So my ex was just like, yo, give them one more chance, this. But when we were in Texas, she's blaming me, like, you made me move here, you took me away from my family, this, and that. And I know, and I felt she was going through some postpartum depression herself, but she never, ever admitted to it until 2 years later. So that's wasn't easy. So originally I bought a house for the both of us, a huge house to move back to in Florida. And she's just like, I don't want to move into that house. I don't want to move with you. We're just going to separate. And that's what we did. I moved back to Florida. I got a house. Sadly, she didn't want to live near me. She's like a minimum of 10 minutes away, which is very frustrating, because I wanted to live her close to see my daughter, and she's like, I just don't want to live near you. I don't want to see you in public. So it was very, very difficult at first, because she really, really resented me and treated me very poorly when we moved back. And it's crazy, because when we were not together, but we were living in the same house, we were friends. We moved to Florida, we're not living in the same house, and I'm treated like an enemy. So that was very, 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 very difficult. My dog's just chilling there. You can see her. Is the other one there too? Yeah, the other one's there too. They're funny. They love me so much. So that was very difficult. Right when I moved to Florida, I started, going on dates and stuff like that. And I've been officially single since last January. So I've been single now for over a year. And in the course of a year, I've spoke to over 500 different women. I probably went on about 30, maybe not 30, maybe like 15, 20 dates. And currently, at this moment, I am speaking with somebody, and It's hard because I was hoping to be back with the mother of my daughter, and that was my purest intention, was to restart with a fresh start, not talking about the past, but it seems like I've grown, matured, learned from my mistakes, became a better father, and my last partner just isn't willing to do the same on her part. It's more like, hey, I need to see this demonstrated in person until I'm willing to change. And to be honest with you, I'm the one who left my ex. My ex didn't leave me. So if I left you for a specific reason and I'm coming back and you're the exact same person, why would I want to be with you? So that's a huge concern, and I don't want to be the bad guy here. I don't want to talk too much crap and stuff like that. But I've constantly put my ex-partner first before anybody I'm associating with, because realistically I want to be a family. Realistically I want to be with the mother of my daughter, and realistically if I have more kids I didn't want to have them with another person. So the person I'm associating with now is like, she's like, oh, if you want kids one day, I want to be married, I want this. And in my head, realistically, I don't see myself getting married anytime soon, and I don't see myself having kids with another person anytime soon. And even if it was with the mother of my daughter, I don't see us having kids for at least a year. And with somebody new, probably like 3 to 5 years, which I know sounds a lot because I'm already 30 years old. But number one, I really feel I have to know somebody. And number two, I want to give my daughter the dedicated time right now that she deserves. So that's very important to me. I also do want to give my daughter siblings, and I wish they were full-blooded siblings, but unfortunately, with the way this is going, that's probably not going to happen. So let's take it back. Obviously, coronavirus happened. This was a little bit past my last video. At one point, I did have the coronavirus and tested positive for it, and since then, I haven't had it, but it's been a crazy thing. It changed so much in life, from inflation to communication to social media. It's just the impact that the coronavirus had on the world was devastating for sure. 20, what year was it? Oh yeah, let's talk about cars real quick. So last I had was my 2015 Z06 Corvette. Since then, I ended up getting rid of that before moving to Port St. Lucie, because my mortgage guy was like, get rid of the car. Evidently, I bought that car for $57K with like 3,000 miles. I put another 3,000 on it. I sold it back for what I paid for it. Right after the pandemic started, it went up to like $75,000. So I could have made money and kept my car, but I didn't. And I moved to Port St. Lucie. I got an older Corvette, which was a convertible, and then I got a motorcycle. So I had my motorcycle, and then once my mother of my daughter actually got pregnant, I sold my motorcycle right away, because I was like, I'm not gonna risk my life knowing that I'm gonna be a father in this world. A little bit later on in 2021, mid-2021, I got my 2022 Genesis UV70 fully loaded. And then about 6 months ago, I got my 2023 C8 Corvette Z51 fully loaded 3LT. So that's where I'm at with cars. I do plan on getting the higher end E-Ray version of my Corvette if I can. I possibly might sell my SUV. If my girlfriend, or she's not my girlfriend, but if this person I'm talking to ends up moving in, I'm gonna let her, I'm gonna hope that she'll give back her car and drive the SUV. This way I don't have to get rid of the SUV. And then she can give me some type of money that she was paying for her car and just drive the SUV. This way, if we go out all together, the three of us, we go out in the SUV, because the Corvette only has 2 seats. So it would be completely impossible. So that's car situation. I don't drive motorcycles anymore. I actually had 7 motorcycles and 22 different cars since I was 15 years old. I used to buy and sell cars when I was younger. That was a little hobby of mine. Let's talk income. Income. 2020 was my best year ever financially. I made so much money that I never even thought that I could even make. Because I know I had one year where I think it was like 2017 or 2016 where I did like 175K, something like that. And I was like, I'll never be able to make more than this. And I blew that out the window. And I was so surprised. And the problem was, like, from a span of 6 months, I've made that much money. And I had like 4,500 active OF subscribers at the time. I was just like, damn. And then months go by and it's like 45 to 4,000 to 35 to 3,000 to 2,000. I was just like, what the? So I started spending money, like out the wazoo, thinking that I was going to make a lot of money. So it's one thing that I would tell myself, that's a video I got to make one day. What would you tell 18-year-old Jake now, for what you know now, to then, so or before? And the first thing I would do is be more wiser with your money. Not stay with my parents, but stay at a place, because there's places that I was at that was only costing me $16, $17, $18, $2,000 a month, and now my bills are just completely insane. So that's the crazy part. So income ever since 2020 has been like, but if I'm being honest, I'm not trying as hard as I want to. And I think that, not that I'm burning out, and not that I feel like there's nothing I can make. It's just like, one, I'm still not willing to transition to full like guy on guy videos. And number two, I've just been pushed down because of my occupation in many different directions. Whether it's the issue that happened in Texas, whether it was girls I was talking to on dating apps that like, I just won't date a guy who does that, and not even listening to me or not even accepting me in any way, shape, or form. But I did meet someone who is accepting of me and what I do and fully understands it. So that is appreciative. Like I said, I don't brag about my job and be like, yeah, I do this, I'm proud of it. But I also don't want someone to put me down because of it, especially somebody I care about. So that's very important. Divorce, as you guys know, I married a Peruvian when I was 18. We fully got divorced, I think, in 2019, maybe earlier, maybe 2018. So that's 100% done. Don't have to worry or talk about that anymore. Let me check something real quick. Let's talk a little bit about inflation and how it's affected the car market, groceries, and houses. So houses, when I sold my house in Port St. Lucie, I actually bought it for like, I think $422. I sold it for like $535. So I made a good amount of money on that. But when I moved to Texas, I bought my house for $610, and I bought it for $640, and I put $10,000, $15,000 into it, and I sold it for $605. So any money that I really made, I lost because of the move, the pods, the money I spent there, all this, everything is what I lost. So when I moved back to Florida, I bought a house that was slightly smaller than mine. It's 2,000 square feet instead of 2,300 square feet, but I do get an extra half bath, and so that's the difference between the two. The other one had two baths. I have 2.5 baths. And I bought my current home for like $433, and it also had $90,000 in upgrades. So all the upgrades in it came off the price because $433 was the base price. So I got a pretty decent deal. However, my interest rate was like 7.5%, and I bought it down to 6%, which is still a fortune. My mortgage is a fortune. My HOA is a fortune. So that's a problem within itself. But interest rates are coming down a little bit. The car market has dropped drastically. I remember when the 2000 Corvette came out, people were paying $60,000, $80,000. Now they're $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 under MSRP to buy a brand new one. The Z06 Corvette, which is the high power one, was 2 years ago was $100,000 over. Now they're, a year before they were like 60, and now you can get them MSRP 5K, 10K over for the Corvettes. So cars are just going down in general. So that's a situation with that. Groceries are as high as they ever been. Boxes of Frosted Flakes are a fortune. So house prices are still pretty high, but the market's moving really, really slow. So people are forced to lower the price of their houses. However, there's so many new builds around me that there's a plentiful of options to choose from as well. So that will help lower the market value as well, which is good and bad. It's good if I plan on getting another house. It's bad if it's bad if the house goes down and I'm staying here and it stays down. That would be bad as well. let's talk about my work and how I was into camming. Then I went to OF, then I did JFF. So camming is something I don't mind doing, and I keep saying I'm gonna get back into it. And I do it for a day or 2 days or 3 days, and then I stop. And that's just so frustrating to me because I really want to be consistent with it because it's just extra income. And not only is it extra income, but it's showing my face, which is getting my other platforms out there, which is very important to me. So I just gotta like find the time and get back on it. Go to the gym for just 2 hours. Come home. There's time for everything. It's just about how I organize it. Because right now I come home, I sit on my couch for hours and hours and hours. I play video games. I watch TV. That's too much. I do that when my daughter's here. Why do I have to do that before my daughter gets here? So, whew. So another thing that I would like to talk about is that charade that OF did, where they were like, hey, we're going to get rid of the adult community. And that was huge on me because I was like, there goes my job. And that was a very scary situation. And then they later on changed their mind and was like, hey, we're not going to get rid of adult content. And everybody's like, yeah, that's great, but people ventured elsewhere. And that's when I started to take my JFF more seriously. And I said to myself, I can't keep all my eggs in one basket, because if that does go under, I have to have a backup plan, because this is my job. This is how I make money. So that being said, throughout the years since then, OF has definitely became more strict and started not only changing their rules, but removing what they previously allowed. So if you had content outside, if you had content with somebody that wasn't tagged, there's so many restrictions. I'm not going to say them on this video, but it made my JFF more valuable because they allow so much more. So I'm like, when people ask me, they're like, well, what is JFF? And I'm like, well, everything OF doesn't allow. So that's very important, because if you're into specific things, so there's a lot of restrictions. So that's just something I'm saying out there. So neighbor issues, what's that about? House got neighbor issues, engaged. So I was engaged to the mother of my child, and I proposed to her, not last Christmas, not the Christmas before, but the Christmas before that. So right when my daughter was born. So my daughter was born December 2nd, and I proposed to my previous partner at the end of the month at Christmas time. So we never did get married, but she was also in my field of work, even though she claims that I forced her into it, but I really never did. And that was going pretty well, and she started making money. But when one situation occurred with the issue in Texas, which if you're not familiar with, there's a whole YouTube video about it, about the whole neighborhood calling me out on my work and what I did, which was obviously wasn't appropriate, so I apologized for it, but it made my stepkids lose friends, it made her lose friends, it made people treat me weird. So that was a bad situation among itself. But so let's see. If you're not aware, I did have hernia surgery, open hernia surgery. I don't know if I talked about that in the last video, if that was done yet. That was 3 years ago, and I got the surgery. I have the date on my Instagram, but that was a whole situation from working out very hard, and now I have a huge scar. But ever since then, I developed feet and back issues, where I've been to numerous amount of doctors, 4 podiatrists, 2 neurologists, rheumatologists, primary care doctors, and orthopedic surgeons to not know what is wrong with me. I had nerve conduction study tests, I had x-rays on my feet and back, I had MRIs on my feet and back, and an epidural on my back, and I also have an appointment with the same orthopedic surgeon at the end of the month to see if I can further see what the issue is. But yeah, nobody has any answers for me. It has become very frustrated, so I try to, stay positive possible. I got the influenza B, a couple months ago, and it was detrimental to me. I literally thought I was dying. It was so much pain for a week. And during that time, right when I got it, I hurt my back, and it was so bad for about 2 months, and now it's finally subsiding a little bit. So it's, in pain, but not much. Right now, my back's like 2 out of 10. My feet are like 6 or 7 out of 10 as we speak. So let's see what else we got. Moving to Texas. Why I moved to Texas was because I just saw like beautiful houses on TikTok and what you can get for your money. Later on, after I signed my contract in my house in Houston, I found out that the tax rate on the house was like 3.4% or 3.5% of the purchase price, which was just incredibly insane, the tax rate. I also stopped training people where I used to be a personal trainer just because of all the strict rules. Gyms weren't allowing me to bring in people. I couldn't have a training facility in my house. So I really had no way to train people. So I stopped doing that for about 3 years now. So maybe you guys would like an update on my dogs. All 4 of my dogs are still alive. However, one of their siblings did pass away. Unfortunately, that was my parents' dog that I gave to them. His name was Moon. He passed away right before his 6th birthday, unfortunately. And nobody knew the reason behind it, and my parents didn't investigate it. So they ended up cremating him and keeping him in their home. But my 4 are still alive. Buster will be turning 13 next month. Some of you guys know Buster since I got him when he was 7 weeks old and I was 18 years old. So yeah, he's up there. Mom turned 7 in mid-November, and then the kids turned 6. So you can see there's Bila right there. Bila. And yeah, they're all doing good. Mama Bear has a huge thing on her toe. I need to take her to the vet. Hopefully she won't need surgery, and it's not cancerous, hopefully. And then Junior, which is the son, he's just been itching like crazy for the last few weeks, and I need to take him to the vet because he might have some type of, allergic reaction and stuff like that. So, obviously, you guys know I turned 30 years old. If you've been keeping up with YouTube, you saw my happy 30th birthday, Jake. And to be honest with you, when I look at videos of myself 7 years ago, I feel I look better now at 30 than I did at 23. I'm very much more mature than I am. I'm a lot smarter, and I've learned so much. So let's talk about depression. And you guys know how I used to deal with depression, and luckily, I would say it's pretty much gone. And I would love to be a mental health advocate for others and help people who struggle with depression. I think it's very important to me. So my dogs were a big coping mechanism to my depression. They made me feel like happy, but there was still dark times for me where I just thought about giving up. And when my daughter was born, it was just like, hey, look, I have something to live for. And when she turned 1 and I was alone and I had to step up as a father and take care of her and be responsible for her, it made me realize how much in love I was with my daughter and how special she is to me and still is to me. And that my life is very important because I'm a big, important part of her life. And I see so many girls out there without fathers or have bad fathers or fathers that weren't in their lives, and they just turned out so bad. So I want to be an example to... Hey! I want to be an example to my daughter and for the future, because one day when she's looking at a boy, I want her to be like, listen, if you can't respect me and love me the way my dad loves me, then I don't want to be with you. And I hope she does say that, because I'm going to instill so much into my daughter to not be with someone who doesn't cherish her, respect her, and treat her the way I treat her. And in that case, she doesn't need a man or a woman, whoever she's with. So that's very important to me, is to raise and bring up my daughter right. It's definitely very important. So I feel right now that I don't have a depression, and even though this last year I've been talking to so many different women, and some worked out and some didn't work out. I have a whole notepad. It's like called God Spiting Me, because of all these situations that didn't work out. But sometimes when things don't work out, it's because there's another thing for you in life. There's another path for you in life to meet that right person. So maybe you have to go through the trash in order to find the treasure. That's sometimes what it is. And dating nowadays is so difficult. It's very, very difficult. But I learned to love myself, and I learned to appreciate myself and respect myself. And I realized at the end of the day, if it didn't work out with a woman, at the end of the day, I still have my true love, which is my daughter, who I love more than anyone and anything. And the person I'm talking to now realizes that, and knows that she will never be put first before my daughter. And that's something that's really important to me, because there's women that I talk to that were like, hey, I can't come second to your daughter, and just didn't understand the dynamic. And it's very difficult to deal with. So yeah, like I said, my daughter's 2 years now, talking a little bit, understands a lot. She's a little bit behind in talking, but we're gonna look into speech therapy for her. Relationship with her mother has completely diminished. There was great times. There's times we were being friends, and honestly, at the end of the day, I wish we can be good friends with boundaries, because she did end up getting a boyfriend and they didn't work out. And she was so quick to jump on that person because they met her qualifications or whatever. And realistically, the first time I was interested in somebody, I straight up told her, I was like, hey, I'm talking to somebody, but realistically, I'd rather be a family. So if you're willing to work something out and willing to work on yourself, and I'm willing to work on myself, then I'd rather be with you than with somebody new. And she just flat out went into a relationship. And it was very hurtful to me, because this was like 10 days removed from her telling me that she wanted to be with me again, to find out that she was dating somebody. Some guy was over her house sleeping over when I was going to drop off my daughter. So that was very concerning to me. Trying to get this right. Excuse me. And still doesn't look straight. It's all right. So since then, she's been apparently by herself and not looking for anybody. But it's just, we had a good friendship going, a good dynamic going. And once, I asked her boundaries and she saw that I was associating with somebody, she just treats me bad and poor and all that other stuff. So hopefully what is with this thing? Hopefully she'll one day meet the person that I'm talking to and respect her, and vice versa. And I really hope she finds a great man that's going to respect her and treat her right, because that's the person who's going to be around my daughter. And if I don't sense that respect, not only for her mother, but for my daughter, there's going to be a problem, and I'll make sure to make it a problem. So, however, my ex has told me that, like, hey, you know what, if you meet a girl, I'm going to treat her poorly. I'm not going to, it's crazy though, because her brother has a girlfriend, and that's her niece, and she treats the brother's girlfriend amazing. So hopefully she'll put her ego away and meet the person that I'm associating with, if we're still talking at that time, and go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little catch-up video. If you have any questions about anything that I spoke about, feel free to let me know. Part 5 on this may come in a few years from now, might come in a year from now. I don't know. You got to see what's going on with life. I mean, there's so many more things that I could talk about, but and then my gym closed down, so I go to another gym. I'm waiting for another gym to come up. Not sure what else to add to this, but for now, I'm Jake. Take care, everybody.